channel. So today I'm continuing the All About Hamlet series, specifically talking about just Act 4, Scene 4. It's a fairly short scene in Shakespeare's Hamlet, and maybe ironically, it is the only one where Hamlet is out and about traveling, and I myself have been doing some traveling. The context is that Hamlet, Rosencrantz, and Guildenstern are traveling to the ships that will take them to England because Claudius, of course, has banished Hamlet to England. Well, not banished, but sent him on a thinly veiled errand to England to pick up some money. Really, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, unbeknownst to themselves because it is sealed, have a letter that demands that the King of England kill Hamlet as soon as he arrives. As they're going along this plain, they run into the forces of Fortinbras. Yes, that's right, Fortinbras. Rather than recap everything about Fortinbras, the Prince of Norway, I refer you to my very first video, which I will link below. Long story short, Fortinbras has permission to go through the lands of Denmark, even though he had recently been considered a serious threat. Fortinbras, he doesn't show up very often. In fact, he only shows up here for this one line, where he gives some instructions to his captain, and at the very end of the play, spoilers. And that's it. That's all we really see of Fortinbras. The reason that he's a character in this play is that he is a fantastic foil for Hamlet. He is a man of action where Hamlet is a man of indecision. He is a man of concise thoughts. Whereas Hamlet, of course, as we've seen, is anything but. He is the smartest one in the room, but also the most long-winded one in the room. I feel like if I knew Hamlet personally, I probably would just punch him in the face repeatedly, just at different points in our relationship. Hamlet, being the Prince of Denmark, seeing these forces go through, stops the captain of the Norwegian army and asks, whose forces are these? Which is a surprising question, considering that Hamlet's been one step ahead of everybody this entire time. He knew that Rosencrantz and Guildenstern were going to go with him on this journey before Claudius even told him his plans to send him to England. And here he's looking at an entire army and not knowing where it's from. His powers of observation, much like his powers of decision, seem to come and go and be really intense either way. So the captain explains, yeah, so we're from Norway, we're going to attack Poland because, sorry, Poland, everybody hates you, again, for reasons completely unknown. And we are going to go fight, hear how he describes the land they're about to fight over. We go to gain a little patch of ground that hath in it no profit but the name. To pay 5 ducats, 5 I wouldn't farm it. This is a tiny, worthless piece of land. The only reason that they're fighting over it is for prestige, is for power, is for these intangible aspects of gaining this land. So of course Hamlet, who turns everything on himself, looks at this army that is about to go to their graves like beds, as he later says, and thinks, my goodness, Fortinbras and his army can fight so hard over something so worthless. And what about my situation? I have something much more important to fight for, and what am I doing about it? I'm putting on plays, I'm stabbing unrelated citizens, and generally not doing a whole lot of good. So that segues nicely into his fourth major and ultimately final soliloquy. The how all occasions do inform against me and spur my dull revenge soliloquy. The best version of this that I have seen is the Kenneth Branagh version. It just makes you want to stand up on your chair, storm some kind of castle, and I don't know what. It's just so inspiring. So if I can find it, I will link it below. If it's not on YouTube, which would be a little surprising, but considering the other things I haven't been able to find Shakespeare-wise, not as surprising as perhaps it could be, then check it out from the library, buy the copy on Amazon. I'm telling you, it is so awesome. He's left alone. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, bless them, spineless guys, allow him just to kind of tarry alone for a bit. And Hamlet starts saying just what I've said. Look at this army of such mass and charge, led by a delicate and tender prince, and how they're all going to die for something that doesn't really matter. It's kind of funny that he calls Fortinbras delicate and tender. I mean, he's untried. That's the only reason I can see for him calling him that. But honestly, Hamlet, seriously? You also were untried, and at least Fortinbras is doing something. You're just whining about stuff. Let me direct your attention to one of my favorite lines in this speech, and there's a lot of good stuff, but since you've already read it or seen it, you know the gist. I just want to point this out. It's really beautiful. He says, "Surely, he that made us with such large discourse," so he's talking about God creating humanity there, "looking before and after, gave us not that capability and godlike reason to fuss in us unused." Surely we weren't created with all of these capabilities of looking into the past, of considering the future, for all of that reason just to sit unused in our lives. And it's really a beautiful parallel, this speech, to the one that he gives Rosencrantz and Guildenstern in Act 2, Scene 2, when he says, "What piece of work is a man, how noble in reason, how infinite in faculty, and yet to me, what is this quintessence of dust?" There are lots of echoes here, beautiful echoes. Look at the capability of mankind. Let's not let that potential just fester and die with us, but instead let's rise up and do something about it. Of course, in Hamlet's case, he's not talking about creating inventions and things like that. He's talking about taking his revenge, finally taking his revenge. And so at the end of his final soliloquy, he concludes with another couplet. Now, I don't think I've mentioned this before, so I will really quickly. If you'll notice, even though there's a common misconception, Shakespeare's plays really don't rhyme. He uses blank verse, so he uses meter. There's a beat to it, but there's no rhyme there. But he doesn't rhyme except at the end of a scene when an important character, usually a noble, is wrapping up his thoughts. So we get that at the end of Act 2, Scene 2, when Prince Hamlet says, "The play's the thing wherein I'll catch the conscience of the king." Here, he says, "Oh, from this time forth, my thoughts be bloody or be nothing worth." Dun dun dun. You just can hear the exciting music going on in the background. Now, you might be thinking, but Carly, forth and worth don't rhyme. Yeah, they do. It's a sight rhyme. Look at that. They look the same. So we get a couplet there to really drive home the point that Hamlet is finally dedicating himself to this revenge. The next time he sees Claudius, he will try to kill him. So obviously, lots more I could say because I can talk for a long time about this, as evidenced by all my other videos. And that's all I want to say today about this section where he's traveling to England. So if you have any questions at all, I would love to answer those. Just put those in the comments below. Like this if you liked it. Check out the other videos in the series if you are a teacher or a student or a lover of Hamlet. And subscribe to this channel for more English nerdy goodness. All right, I'll see you guys on Monday.